Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, of course. And if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider a like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. And let's crack on with today's first story. Much love, guys. Now, today's first story comes from Anon716-15141. And just to give you a couple of trigger warnings on the story, there is sexual harassment, a hostile workplace, and threats within the story. So if you do want to skip it, please feel free to do so. Timestamps are always down in the description and along the timeline below. Thank you. It says, I, 25 female, posted a bunch of creepy texts guys have sent me onto Facebook and Instagram. I went to college for computer engineering and got a job in the industry afterwards. In college, my internships and my job, I've dealt with sexual harassment and I've had to get tough with people, telling them to stay the fuck away when I get the first whiff of sketchiness. Every time I've gotten a creepy text or instant message from another student or coworker, I've screenshotted it and backed it up to Google Drive just in case it escalates. That's helped me a few times. When someone started to follow me around in college and when someone took things so far at work that I decided to go to HR. I don't report most of the shit though. I don't want it to look bad like I'm always running to HR. Last night I got really drunk with my friend because I had a day off planned for today. I went home in a kind of bad mood because we'd been talking about how she was going through similar shit at work. And I was in a fuck it all mood. And I uploaded my whole folder of screenshotted text messages to Facebook and Instagram with a caption, phone and inbox of a female computer engineer, and tagged all the men who had sent me messages, whose social media I could find. Some of the highlights were a bunch of married men hitting on me and replying, "Dude, you are married," or something along those lines. Some guys asking me out and then taking rejection badly. Some guys who would text me repeatedly even though I just replied, "Don't contact me other than for work purposes." Sexually explicit messages or messages commenting on my appearance out of the blue. Overall, just messages from people ignoring my wishes to be left alone. This morning I woke up to my phone blowing up. I had planned to take a vacation day off work today. A lot of the guys I tagged in my social media posts had contacted me demanding or pleading that I remove the posts. Most everyone had untagged themselves. The Facebook post had gotten some attention from my friends, but my 2 Instagram posts, I had to make 2 to fit all the photos, had blown up. I had a lot of new followers, a lot of strangers commenting on my post, mostly supportive. I also had an email from HR at work asking me to meet with them first thing Monday morning. I replied to say that I would. I don't know what to expect there at all. I have not replied to any other messages about my posts. I need some advice. Should I speak to the guys who texted me about the posts? Some are very angry with me because they are married and their wives found out. I'm thinking it's safest to not. Should I leave the posts up or remove them? Or wait to see how things go with HR before I decide? Should I be worried for my safety? I feel a little nervous, but I don't know if I'm overreacting. Edit to explain something. Quite a few of these men were not under my current company's control, such as classmates and a TA from college, men I knew from summer internships at different companies, and a guy from a past job. Out of the 4 people from my current job, 1 I reported into HR actually. 2 and 3, married men who asked me out or hit on me outside of work hours and did not present a problem at work. That did not seem like HR's domain. 4, a guy who asked me out outside of work hours and got mildly passive aggressive over text when I rejected him, but did not bring his bullshit into the office. Frock of Seagull says to OP, ask HR what it's about. Can your social media be connected to your identity and job? OP says my social media has my real name, but I have not mentioned my company or any of my past jobs or internships on there. Commodore says 1. How are all these students and co-workers getting your cell number? 2. I didn't think it was possible to tag someone on Facebook if you weren't friends. Delete the post, do not speak with the guys, talk to HR and see where to go from there. OP says not all of them contacted me by text. Some sent me messages on various instant messaging platforms I've needed for jobs or college classes. Out of the people who do have my number, a lot were students. It was very common in college to exchange numbers with your group for group projects, and some are employees at my current job which involves travel, because we do not have work cell phones and it's easier to keep in touch with personal phones sometimes. You're right about Facebook. I added some people, mostly students and other interns, not current co-workers, before I knew them well. And when they turned out to be creepy, I kept them on Facebook to keep an eye on them. Like to know that they're out of town and staying that way, for example. So it's a few days later that OP came in with an update and said to recap my last submission, I posted an album of creepy texts I'd received from men in my field, computer engineering. Some from classmates and a TA in college, some from people I met through internships and professional development activities, and some I knew through my current job. I've been so fed up with a sense of shame and being silenced and not believed about sexual harassment. And for what it's worth, putting a large collection of harassing and threatening texts in the public eye, raw and unedited, made them difficult to ignore or explain away. After that post, I got a meeting invitation from my company's HR department for this Monday. A lot has happened over the weekend. I did a lot of research into employment law. I read through the whole company handbook again, and for each person I mentioned in my social media posts, I wrote up a detailed account of their behavior towards me for my own reference. Stuff that had not been said over text. I also screenshot and backed up any angry or threatening text towards me that I received this weekend from the men whose old texts I'd posted online. I think it's worth giving some background on the 4 people included in my social media posts that I knew from my current job. Coworker 1. A few months ago I had reported him to HR for sexual harassment in the past, and he was moved off to another team to another position in the company where he would not have any contact with me. He'd signed a paper saying that he must not contact me for any reason, whether that is work related or not. I didn't sign anything during this process. The messages from him that I posted on Facebook were old texts from him to my personal phone, making a comment about how I looked nice at work and how I must have been dressing up for him. I'd replied that I was not. He asked me who I was dressing up for at work, if not him, because he'd know who to be jealous of. I said myself and told him to stop texting me on my personal phone. A few days later, he sent me a message telling me my new hair color was hot and asking me to drinks. That was a small snippet of the creepy things he'd sent me. There was plenty more that I didn't post. I found out today that he was the one who showed HR my posts. As I understand it, he had assumed I had signed a similar no contact agreement that he'd had to. I had not ever made that agreement, in writing or vocally. I'd just not been talking to him because I had no desire to. Coworker 2. He was married and in the office. He didn't seem to do anything out of line. He had my number since I would be traveling for work and wanted my team members to be able to contact me. We don't have work cell phones. Out of the blue, he texted me asking me to join him at a fancy seafood restaurant where I returned from my work trip. It sounded like a date. I texted back, you're married? And he said some shit about how nobody would have to know, and how I seemed like a girl who could keep a secret. I told him to fuck off. He was fired a week later for unrelated reasons, so while I've been thinking about going to HR, I never did. I haven't heard from him since, even after my social media post. Coworker 3. He was also married. One time I was at a work happy hour and I left pretty early. He texted me on my work instant messaging platform, which I have on my phone, asking me to go party with him. I asked, "Is your wife coming?" and didn't get a response. I didn't think it was bad enough to report to HR as sexual harassment because something usually has to be done repeatedly to qualify as harassment, unless it's something egregious. That was in the company handbook, in less concise words. The text exchange was included in my post. After my post, he sent me a slew of threatening text. Apparently his wife had seen the post and I had ruined his family. He said that I was about to get what was coming for me real soon, and to watch out, which sounded like a threat. Also called me a couple of homophobic slurs. I'm openly bisexual. Coworker 4. He'd just broken off an engagement. I didn't hear that from him, just through the rumor mill. He contacted me asking if I wanted to go out, and I said that he really wasn't my type to date. He said that he wasn't looking for anything serious, just casual sex. I didn't reply for a few hours, and then he sent me a second text saying, well, go ahead and be a bitch and leave me on red. Since it happened outside of work and was not any kind of repeated harassment, I also didn't think that it would be reasonable to bring it to HR unless I saw a pattern of similar behavior. He didn't contact me again, even after my posts. As for people from past jobs, internships or classes, my college contacted me about my old TA, who had tried to hook up with me repeatedly, and stopped helping me with the course when it was clear he wasn't getting anywhere. They asked me if I'd give a statement. Apparently he was still doing that shit and someone else had reported him, and they saw from my post that I'd likely have something to report too. A married guy who tried to get with me when I was an intern at another company sent some really angry and threatening texts. I have to figure my Instagram post, with his public Instagram account tagged, caused problems in his marriage. I definitely have been taking extra steps to stay safe when I'm leaving my apartment or going anywhere. I'm considering reporting this to the police because it was the most overtly threatening thing I've received. A few other people I tagged sent me texts telling me how shitty it was not to keep private conversations private, etc. I ignored all those. As for what happened this morning in my HR meeting, I was all ready to go in with metaphorical guns blazing, defend everything I'd said or done with sources from the company handbook, such as how I did not violate the company's social media policy, as it only prohibited pretending to speak for the company as a whole if PR is not your job, or reveal confidential code or design or business contracts online. I didn't mention my company in my post or anywhere else on my social media. I was also ready to defend how I followed the guidelines of what is considered sexual harassment and should be reported, how I reported repeated harassment but didn't get report isolated incidents that were not extreme. The examples of extreme conduct included unwanted, overtly sexual touching or threats of violence. The handbook specifically mentioned that asking someone out once was not harassment. But the meeting ended up being much more low-key than I'd been expecting. I'd taken down both posts Sunday as an act of good faith, though I doubted that would matter much. When I went in, I sat down and asked if I could record the meeting. The HR representative, I call her Beth here, but that's not her real name of course, said okay. She wanted to talk about each of the specific people I posted screenshots from, who work at the company. Those made up less than a third of my screenshots for your information. First was coworker 1, the guy I previously reported to HR and had been moved to a different team and told that he must not speak to me or contact me. Beth said that he had brought the post to her attention, as he was under the impression that the no contact agreement went both ways. I reminded her that I had not entered into a written or verbal agreement. I was surprised it was him who brought it up, but I didn't say anything. She asked if there had been continued harassment of contact from him after my initial report. I said no. She moved on to the next quickly. Coworker 2 had been fired a while back for unrelated reasons, but Beth still asked if there had been any further conflict between us while he was employed other than the text messages. I said no. She asked me the same question about coworker 3. I told her that I had received text from him on Saturday, but that came across as threatening, and used several slurs about my sexuality. I gave her a printout of those messages. She read them and immediately stepped out to show them to her manager. She came back a few minutes to continue talking with me. And again for coworker 4. I told her that he had not contacted me after. He said I was a bitch for leaving him on red. Beth asked me if I had any questions, and I basically asked what her next steps would be. She said that she would have asked me to remove the post so things could be handled with discretion. However, I'd already removed both prior to the meeting. She also said that she'd be meeting again with coworkers 1 and 4. She also said that due to coworkers 3 threatening comments, he'd been escorted out of the building while we had been speaking. Fired. Apparently, he was already on record with them for another issue relating to his temper, and this was the last straw. She also asked me why I had not brought coworkers 2, 3, and 4 to her attention before, and I cited the section on harassment from the company handbook, saying that harassment was repeated unwanted comments or actions, and that a single event is not usually considered harassment unless it's extreme. The conversations with those 3 men had been isolated incidents. She asked me if I'd be more comfortable taking a personal day for the rest of the day, while she speaks to coworkers 1 and 4. She said she wanted to make it clear that I was not being dismissed or escorted out. I was not getting fired. It was only precautions that I would not be around coworkers 1 and 4 in case either of them wanted to confront me personally. I said I would. So that's where I'm at right now. And Dave T says to this one, and quoting, I was surprised it was him who brought it up regarding the no contact kind of thing, and said, some people are incapable of conceiving of themselves as being in the wrong. That guy probably viewed his harassment of you as mutual work disagreement that you both got in trouble for. He thinks conditions must have been placed on you because conditions were placed on him. It is inconceivable to him that he was the aggressor and you were the victim. No, it doesn't make sense. AP replies saying, lol, you are very right in saying that he saw it as more as a mutual disagreement. Initially, he tried to claim that I was harassing him back using profanity towards him like fuck off and don't say that shit to me. His superior Light Beer says, I mean, how else would the company handle it? Woman posts proof of being harassed. The only reasonable response is to follow up and deal with the harassment. I'm sure they would have preferred you to print the texts out and provide them to HR directly rather than blasting it on the internet. But that's really just a discretion thing. Opie says, some of the things I put online were things that did not qualify as harassment by their policy, i.e. an isolated incident that is not extremely bad, so I didn't feel like I should have gone straight to them. I don't know, maybe they rethink what the threshold for something to qualify as harassment should be. The superior replies to that saying, I'd err on the side of reporting stuff and letting them put it on record. What if you're not the only one to come forward with a one-time example of unwanted attention? They'd likely take that pattern into account and act on it. Can't have employees treating the workplace as in-person Tinder. And when told to report it to the police, Opie said, yeah, I can't decide whether the police reports on him and the other dude who sounded like he was threatening me. Bloody hell. And I really hope that Opie did and does look after herself. And I think she really does need to at least report some of those threats that she was getting, like, you're going to get what's coming to you kind of thing. I don't know the ins and outs of the legalities behind that, or even if they're documented, but I think you should be at least, because it's these people, they don't come across as idle threats to me. These people have, they've been exposed and have nothing left to lose. Not like I always say, I just try and get into the mindset, and it's so fucking difficult because what goes through your mind to even consider this? All you have to do was literally nothing. Just exist near this person without being some creepy arsehole. What do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Let's move on to another story. Now, our next story comes from Flimsy Channel 5057 from the r/relationships subreddit. And it says, boyfriend left after seeing ex's engagement post. Okay, so I, 25 female, have been dating my boyfriend, 30 male, for a little over 2 years now. We just moved in together a few months ago. Last night, we were doom scrolling on Insta Reels and his ex's post popped up about her getting engaged. I don't really know much about their relationship in detail, other than her cheating on my boyfriend with her current fiance, while she was engaged to my boyfriend. They were together for 5 years and it's been 3.5 years since they broke up. So I know that it didn't end well with them, and it's just a sour topic, so I never really bring it up. I don't follow her, but she's kind of famous on Insta, and she is a food vlogger, and I watch a lot of that content, so that's why she popped up. When he saw it, he froze and became tense. I asked him if everything was okay, and he said yeah, but I asked if that he looked tense because of the post, and he just brushed it off and rolled over to go to sleep. And the thing is, we didn't even really cuddle. When we cuddle almost every night when we're going to sleep. I woke up around 2 a.m. and he was gone. Completely gone. He was nowhere in our house. I called him 10 to 15 times, no answer. Phone was switched off. I even called one of his friends and he had no clue where he was. I was thinking of calling his mum, but I knew she would have blown up his phone, so I decided to wait and call my friend. She also suggested to wait for a few hours, and so I did. Then around 3:30ish, he finally calls me back. I ask him what the fuck he is doing, and he just says that I'm fine. Please don't call me right now, I'll explain later. He hangs up before I could say anything properly. I tried calling again, obviously, because what does that even mean? I don't get why he would even be upset about that post, seeing that they broke up so long ago. I can't imagine leaving your girlfriend over this at night. He didn't explicitly say anything about the reason he went off, but I'm pretty sure it's because of the post. I stopped calling him after a few times as he's not going to pick up. I really don't know what to do. Things have been good with us now, and this is the first time I've ever felt like I'm being betrayed by him. I don't even know where he is. Should I leave him alone and give him space? I just feel sick about this situation. And on the back of this, there was a lot of comments that were deleted for various reasons, but basically saying that Opie's being a bit harsh on him and, he's allowed to have his feelings, etc., etc. But QWERTY replied to them saying, I don't understand why people are attacking you in these comments. If I had made it to the stage of moving in with someone and one night they left out of nowhere, I'd be concerned too, no matter what happened the day before. Well, yes, he probably needs time to process the engagement. It would have been easy to tell you that. He didn't even have to say it in person or on the phone. He could leave and then send a quick text right after to let you know that he just needed some time alone and that he was alright. You're valid to be upset about this. I understand his distress, but it's been 3.5 years. The least he can do is give you the courtesy of telling you that he was leaving to be on his own for a bit, instead of letting you wake up alone in the middle of the night and leaving you to panic. Educational also replied to one saying, "What even are these comments? He needs space." What do you mean space, bruh? If he wanted space, he could have just communicated it out. He didn't even pick up your phone. He didn't say to you nothing. Just left in the middle of the fucking night. Carbon Copy says, as someone who's been cheated on, I empathize with your boyfriend. However, leaving in the middle of the night and refusing to communicate about why is not on. I also think you have cause for concern as to why your boyfriend had such a visceral reaction to his ex's engagement. When my cheating ex got into a new relationship nearly 2 years ago, I cried, and I knew deep down that was because I was not over it. I was also remaining single and not dating, and it's not fair to enter a new relationship where you're still really affected by a previous relationship. It's everyone's own responsibility to heal from their traumas in a way that doesn't affect people that had nothing to do with them. I get some old feelings were probably dug up for your boyfriend, but you deserve an explanation and for him to be open and honest about why he disappeared. What he's done is not fair in the context of his new relationship with you. Rot says, these comments are really wild. It's not a normal thing for a long-term boyfriend to disappear randomly, especially when his home is also your home. Not saying he's doing anything wrong, just that maybe he's not in a good mental state and it's valid to be concerned. Sure, give him a few hours then call again, once in the morning. If he doesn't respond, text and say that you'd like to make sure he's okay. I don't think the right option here is to just let him have space indefinitely. Seems like he's really upset about something. And I'm absolutely behind those comments in this situation. I mean, feelings are gonna feeling, right? They're gonna pop out of nowhere. Sometimes they knock you sideways. That just happens. And there's nothing wrong with having feelings. But the way that they was dealt with in this situation, just getting up in the middle of the night, not talking to you, just that's it. I know that would make me feel a certain type of way. Absolutely. Like, what the fuck is going on here? But OP did update the post and says, hey guys, first of all, thank you to everyone who commented. I didn't expect so many people to respond, and honestly, reading through your messages kept me from spiraling even more. I tried to go back to sleep after the post. He did come back around 6 AM. He looked like shit because I guess he hadn't slept. He'd just been driving around according to him. I didn't even know what to say to him. Luckily, he was the one who talked first. He apologized a lot of times for running away and for ignoring my calls. I obviously asked him what the fuck happened and why would he ditch me like that and about his ex. He told me he had a panic attack and he didn't want me to witness it, so he went in his car and after that he drove off. He explained it wasn't because he wasn't over her and that he never wanted her back. I asked him if he was still in love with her. He said it just happened after seeing that pic of them together and happy. He said he's depressed after everything went down with his ex, but he thought he was fine when he started dating me and that he has been really happy. But he panicked because it hit him that she was really happy and their breakup hasn't affected her like it has him, seeing she was with the guy she cheated on my boyfriend with, and he started overthinking that he could never be happy like that when getting engaged again and getting married to me. I was honestly a bit shocked at first because we talked about how he would love to marry me someday. I didn't really understand how to comprehend this info, but we talked for like 2 hours and he was genuinely sorry. And he doesn't seem like he's not over her. He did say he wants to find that kind of happiness with me, and he wants that future with me, and apologized again for being an arsehole. I made it clear to him that if he ever runs off like that, we are done. And he agreed, and honestly, we were both kind of crying by the end of our convo. I also blocked his ex on my Insta. He had already blocked her before anyone speculates. I think I could forgive him. Thank you again for all your help. The comments helped a lot. We might try therapy. And the majority of the comments after this one were saying he's definitely not over her and you definitely need to get into therapy if you want anything to happen with this. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being here. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.